This is Bunny James, Senior Vice President with Frost & Sullivan. I'm here in conversation with Kaushik Madhavan, who's our Automotive Head of India at Frost & Sullivan. And following on from the conference or the Intelligent Mobility event that we hosted in Delhi on September 11th. And here I'm to discuss a few insights on what would be the future of the electric mobile space and where are opportunities that's going to lie for the ecosystem. The most important theme that came out was everybody talking about the surge towards electric vehicles as the way forward, and I believe that is the next way. We have left with very limited choices right now, as far as the whole ecosystem by itself it goes. So, and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, thanks, Mani, for the introduction. Indeed, the Intelligent Mobility Summit was a great platform. On the one hand, to bring all the key stakeholders together, and also to improve awareness, among the end customers that creating an ecosystem when it comes to e-mobility, that's the way forward. So when we say an ecosystem, I think we're talking about opportunities for a variety of players. So right from the government and policymakers. So if you look at, let's say, the EV policies of the top states in India, they all emphasize on creating an ecosystem. That means not only are they looking at spurring investments in manufacturing of electric motors, batteries, cells, charging infrastructure, they're also pushing the OEMs to introduce new models, mainstream models that are comparable to the IC engine. And then they're also looking to incentivize dealers, who form the interface between the OEMs and the customers, because the dealers need to be convinced in terms of what the EVs can do. Only then will they be able to sell. And last but not the least, the consumers themselves. So today, when we talk about customers, there is still a little bit of an apprehension when it comes to electric vehicles, especially in terms of range anxiety. The customers are still not very confident that an electric vehicle today can perform on par with a conventional engine vehicle. Right. So I think creating that ecosystem is going to go a long way in bringing automotive and non-automotive stakeholders as well. When I say non-automotive, we will see a role to be played by energy companies, insurance companies, right, in the electric vehicle ecosystem. So I think going forward, the times are going to be very, very exciting. We will see opportunities for a variety of players. And, I'm pretty confident that in the next, let's say, 12 to 14 months or 12 to 16 months, we will see a lot more EVs being introduced by the OEMs, which I personally hope will, address a lot of the concerns that are in today's minds of the people.
Another one interesting fact, obviously I knew it all along, but I heard it in the event, was that they say like 70 to 75% of India moves on 2 to 3 wheelers. So obviously there is a huge scope of enhancements, or I would say improvements, in that space when it comes to electric vehicles. So I suspect some of the things that we spoke about on that day were a lot to do with new business models, right? So I mean, with this whole electric vehicle theme, how will the 2 to 3 wheeler segment change this whole?
Excellent. So one thing is very clear: the first wave of electrification in India will be driven by electric two-wheelers and electric three-wheelers, or maybe even electric rickshaws. So what is going to make them more attractive to the mass market is, introduction of new business models. So when I say new business models, we are talking about battery swapping. If you remember, we released a white paper as well at the Intelligent Mobility Summit, on battery swapping business models. So which clearly showed that in certain applications, battery swapping can be a very, very attractive solution. So I think new business models like these, and also vehicle subscription models, right? So today OEMs are not just focusing on selling models anymore, but they are partnering with a lot of shared mobility players like Zoomcar or Rev to make models available for the customer in a different form. So not outright purchase, but making them available on a subscription basis. So you pay a monthly subscription fee and you get access to a variety of models. So I think new innovative business models which take into account the needs of the young customers, the Gen Z or the millennials, and that is going to define the way OEMs are going to position themselves, not just as vehicle manufacturers, but mobility solution providers.
So essentially, it becomes mobility as a service.
Absolutely.
So on that theme, how and what can be done to improve demand? And I think that's pretty much the crux of where the problem is right now, from
Right.
whatever we could see.
Right. Improving demand, works on multiple fronts. So one is to improve awareness. Today, when we talk about electric vehicles, people still don't associate EVs as a primary mode of transport. So that has to change. And for that to change, OEMs need to introduce more models. I think we see that happening already. Hyundai has taken the first step. In the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months, we will see more EVs being introduced by Tata Motors, MG, Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai themselves. So I think once more and more models are, are introduced, people will start feeling more confident. On the one hand. On the other hand, we see a lot of investments from the energy players and charging infrastructure manufacturers who are pumping in a lot of money to establish public charging infrastructure.
Mhm.
So people need to see public charging infrastructure and feel confident that, hey, if I buy an electric vehicle today, I will have enough charging stations to charge my vehicle. So I think working on these multiple fronts, it's all about creating that awareness among the customer that EVs can be a mainstream solution. And for that, we still need to work with the policymakers and governments to make sure that EVs for mass market transport or mass transport, talking about buses, and shared mobility also gets that importance as well.
Thank you, Kaushik, for taking the time